there are parallel fucking realities, and you pick the ones you go into, and you create it by your consciousness, by your frequency, by your intention.
Before the conference, before the summit, a lot of my hope for humanity relied on this view that actually the world and like life in general is getting better and better. It's only that we are we have this negative bias, and we are really focused on negative things, and all the media is also supporting that and blah blah blah. But actually what's happening, life and quality of life and everything like that is getting way better, and it's going to get better and better to the future. When I came here, among all the inspiring things that I heard and learned, I also heard a lot of very reasonable distrust in what's happening in the world right now. So in my head now, these two things are like, I want to somehow combine them, because both of them make sense to me. But yeah, what's your take on that?
The world is neither getting better or worse. It just is. You, however, may be getting better or worse, but that's not even true either. It's you are becoming more of yourself, right? Distilling into who you really are, the best version of yourself. And as you do that, you're shifting timelines into realities that you prefer. That's what's actually going on. You literally are creating your own timeline. I've consciously shifted into timelines. I've talked about it on YouTube. I'm not going to go into it now. There are parallel fucking realities, and you pick the ones you go into, and you create it by your consciousness, by your frequency, by your intention. So you can go into, if you want to, you could go into a horrific world where everything gets worse and people get poorer and we're all fighting, or you can go into one where people all wake up and take responsibility, and governments start being forced to actually wake up and listen to people, and they start actually, you know, either dissolving or getting better, whatever, and we just move better and better and better and better and better. Everything, it just is. Everything is all good, all bad. Everything is. It's where are you going to go? That's the only question.
Yeah, I agree with you that in general, in terms of standards of living and everything, it is getting better in the world. But really, fundamentally, you can't really, there's so many things outside of your control. What you can do is you can decide to control the things that you actually have control over. One of those things is your beliefs and your perspective. So if you decide that the world is shitty and the government's out to get you all the time, then you will start to live in a reality where everyone's out to get you and you feel really negative all the time, right? And then turn on the news, you know, and watch the news all the time and just be constantly filled with fear. But you can't control like what the world governments are doing necessarily, unless you can, in which case please tell me more about that, right? But you can choose to decide to be like, I imagine that the world is an amazing place and there's amazing people out there, and decide to create the reality that you choose to have by having really positive beliefs. And then guess what happens is that your subconscious mind will find those people and find those opportunities and make you more aware of the positivity and the goodness that there is in the world, and make you ignore the stuff that's kind of shitty. And that's something that's completely within your control. So do that.
Yeah, what I've found personally is you really do create your own reality. So when I used to be depressed, I lived in Acapulco, Mexico. I'd open the window, I'd look out, it looked all gray. Everything seemed horrible. And then after doing a number of things that I did, all of a sudden I got out of that mindset. I opened the window. I live in the most beautiful place in the world. Look how beautiful my dog, everything's so beautiful. In many ways, you do create your own reality. And I don't know how it all works. I don't understand it, but your energy actually attracts whatever you want. So when I was really depressed and negative, all kinds of things went wrong. I don't know how it all works, but it all comes to you. But when you're in more positive sort of a state, all kinds of things just keep going right. This idea about worrying about the trajectory of humanity is kind of interesting to me, because I write at the Dollar Vigilante about how a lot of these things are going to collapse, and people are like, oh, you're all doom and gloom and all that. What I've really learned is don't worry about what the rest of the world is doing. Worry about yourself, and fix yourself, and fix inside, and fix your relationships around you, and get involved in your community. Whatever happens outside of that is going to happen, but it shouldn't be anything that anyone gets too down about. There's a lot of people who go, oh, we're all going to die, like that Malthusian thing that came out a couple hundred years ago. Once we get to 2 billion people, we're all going to starve to death, and everyone's all worried about it. Worry actually creates most of the problems in the world, worry and fear. And so I would just say don't worry about anything outside of yourself too much. You can pay attention to it, and it's interesting, and I watch what goes on. It's like, oh, there's a big riot there, that's interesting, but I'm not worried or fearful about it. I just do what I can do within myself. And actually, that's the most important thing, because I've spent many years trying to wake people up to how bad government is and central banks and how we're not free because of that. The biggest slave owner, the biggest jail was inside my own mind. So once I fixed that, everything else was pretty easy. It's you know, it's not a big deal. Like most people, they think the world is a big problem. It's mostly themselves.
I just want to underscore everything the guys have said, because you're probably spotting a theme here. I don't play the game of trying to change the world. I'm not interested. I'm the star of my own movie in my life, and my role is to be the best actor that I can in my movie. And that ultimately means coming from love more than coming from fear in ever more challenging circumstances, because that's the nature of Earth School. So, when people say, oh, but look at the state of the world, I'm like, I'm not interested. I'm interested in being the example, not the warning. But also know that, if you want to take that sort of illusionary macro perspective, that every tree needs pruning before it gives better fruit. There's a lot of ecosystems in the world that are fire-driven. They're designed to burn to the ground every 30 years to spur regrowth. It's just the nature of the game. And what we're seeing right now is the unraveling of dysfunction, which has reached its course and served its purpose for whatever its purpose was. And and as things unfold or fall down, or humanity shifts to accommodate the next level of consciousness, whether I'm a part of this game, or whether I get hit by a falling safe out of the bank that's collapsing, I don't care. My job here is to be able to show up as best I can until the last breath I take, and go with a smile whenever that happens. And if you focus on that, you'll start coming from love instead of fear, and not worrying about shit, which will then attract that shit into your movie. Because your journey is to raise your consciousness, and as you do that, the script writers on that floor will start writing better scripts for your movie. But sitting there worrying about it, I mean, worry is the biggest challenge that most people have. And worrying, I'll tell you right now, worrying is paying interest on a debt you don't have yet. And most people are too busy worried about that to be able to live their potential. So screw that, be the best actor you can be, give your heart, give it fearlessly, and go play the game.
Awesome, thanks.